Hello, my name's Paul Ainsworth, talking to you today from Mahay in Padstow, which is our development kitchen and cookery school. And I want to talk to you about this amazing piece of kit, the Kenwood Chef Titanium Patissier XL. Now don't be fooled by that word patissier. Yes, it can do the most incredible pastry recipes, but it also can do brilliant savoury recipes. And today, that's what I'm going to show you. My take on the spaghetti carbonara, Paul's Cornish Carbonara. Now I'm going to talk you through its features as we go, but the fact that it comes with two bowls for me, I think is brilliant because a lot of recipes call for two bowls. We're using the dough hook attachment to make our pasta, and you can just feel it's a sturdy, well-made, beautifully engineered piece of equipment. The great thing about being able to make pasta in here is that, you know, sometimes people are a bit put off by pasta, putting the flour on your bench, making the well, adding your eggs, you know, getting quite messy. This does it all for you. So we're just going to add in our flour. So I'm using here a pasta flour, which we call a 00 flour. So basically what that means is it's milled really, really fine. It almost feels a bit like kind of semolina in your hands. Now we're going to shut the machine down by using this little mechanism here on the back. So again, everything about this Kenwood is so well made. Now I'm going to add in a pinch of salt and 2 tablespoons of really good quality extra virgin olive oil. So here we have our flour, our extra virgin olive oil, our salt. We're just going to turn the machine on and turn it down to 2 and add the rest of our olive oil. So you can see that the hook has incorporated the extra virgin olive oil and the salt. We're now going to add the eggs. So we're going to put the machine back to put our timer on for another 4 minutes. Speed 3 is fine. Turn the machine back on and we're slowly going to add our eggs. So this pasta dough I'm using here, we're using 10 eggs in total, but 4 whole eggs and 6 yolks. And again, we're going to add them nice and slowly. I'm just going to turn the machine up to 4. And I'm using really gorgeous, rich Cornish yolks from St. Hugh Farm. Our olive oil giving it a beautiful richness and a shine, and our gorgeous, gorgeous, good quality eggs. We're going to add the last of the eggs. So our flour, our eggs, our olive oil and salt has all been beautifully incorporated. Now, as a young chef learning my trade and learning to make pasta, like one of the things early in the morning, you'd make at least 4 balls of pasta, especially, you know, working at Royal Hospital Road. And each of those would take a minimum of 5 minutes of kneading. Now, what that means is taking the pasta into a ball and basically kneading it like with both hands, pushing your palm right the way through. And the reason for this is you're stretching the gluten. If you don't do that when you're doing, say, tagliatelle, spaghetti, pappardelle, whatever kind of cut, you would then basically cut it and the pasta would shrink and pull in on itself because it hasn't got that lovely elasticity to the pasta. Now, if you've got this machine, and this machine in particular, there is a setting that you don't have to do any of that. You can just go select, well, scroll over, scroll down and select dough kneading. And basically it will come here and it will just go straight into like a kneading mode. And you just basically push the button. Now all recipes like pasta, you need a good long knead. Other doughs, you don't. So it selects it at 1 minute for you. After 1 minute, it will stop. If you want to do it again, just select it again. Or go down to the time. If you know, like me, you want that for 5 minutes and select 5 minutes. And there we are. It's counting down from 5 minutes. That for me is a fantastic function if you have this machine. So that's our dough kneading finished. That's had 5 minutes. That has saved you some serious muscle action. Right, going to take our pasta dough off the hook. What's fantastic about this as well, the attachments are so easy to remove. Twist the bowl and out. Now I'm just going to flour my surface. And this is what I mean, the great thing about making pasta, as easy as that as well. Make it the day before. You can even go a couple of days before. Get your pasta out of the bowl, onto your bench. Now at this stage, like I say, you would then need to be kneading. This is what kneading is. Putting your fist right the way through the dough to stretch the gluten. But you don't need to do that because I can feel straight away just how beautiful that dough is. I can see that when I put it through, it's not coming back in on itself. It's nice and stretched. And the Kenwood has done all the work for us. So, wrap it up into a nice ball. And the most important thing to do now is, after that knead, is to just now rest the dough up. Now, ideally, you want a good few hours, so that's why I recommend, you know, make it before you go to bed, make it in the morning before you go to work, whatever. But just let that dough have a really good rest now. Cling film it up like that, and straight into the fridge. Job done. So your pasta's had a really, really good rest. And look at that, you've got a beautiful, smooth ball of pasta. Now, we're going to cut it in half. And that will make sense in a second. Put that to one side. And we're just, with a rolling pin, just going to, again, using that same flour that you've made your pasta with, the 00 flour, we're just going to roll out our dough. And the reason I've cut it in half is so that if you was to roll all of that out, you're not going to fit it into the roller. So just turning it around and rolling it right out. Little tip as well, just take your pasta out the fridge 10 minutes, 15 minutes before, just to take that coldness off, and then just give it a good roll. Now you want to kind of get some length onto the pasta, but be careful with your width. Remember, this is the first attachment we're going to use, okay? So this is the Kenwood. It's called the lasagna attachment because this is what you would use to kind of make the sheet, and then you would cut your sheets for your lasagna. But we're using this to roll out our pasta, and then we're going to use another Kenwood attachment, which is the Tagliatelle attachment. Just going to roll that out a little bit more. And every time you're doing this, you're working the pasta, and that's good because every time you're working the pasta, you're working the gluten in the pasta. And that's what's going to give us a fantastic, really, really good dough. Right, now if you just follow me over onto the machine. Now this, I think, is a brilliant little addition to the Kenwood. The way that the pop here, you haven't got to screw anything off. It's safe, it's easy, it's nice and large. You just flip it off, it's magnetic. Put that to the side. Now with your attachment, you'll see that you've got the two kind of bits that match the mechanism on the outside. So you want to put those just over to slot it in and twist. Now that is in place. Now up here you've got a dial. You pull the dial out. The dial at the moment is on 0, so that's the widest setting. And as we roll the pasta, we'll twist it down all the way. I'll explain the importance of the sizes as we go, but start that on 0. So we take our pasta. As normal, we go on to the preset, start it, we'll twist that to 3. And now you'll see the rollers turning. And as simple as that, goes through. I'm going to go through a couple more times on 0, just to make sure that our pasta has had a nice little workout going through on 0, and it's perfectly flat, ready to go through on the next setting. Now with a little bit of flour, not too much, just gently put that over your pasta, turn it over, okay? And what that means is that you haven't got any chance of it kind of getting stuck to the rollers, and it just keeps it flowing through the rollers really nice. We're now going to pull out and change to setting 1. And that's going to take our pasta a touch thinner. And you can see, goes through with ease. Now we're going to setting 6, and this is where I'm going to stop. That for me is the perfect thickness for when you're doing tagliatelle, and that is absolutely perfect. And there you go. We'll add a little bit more flour, okay, because we're going to put the sheets now on top of each other, and we're kind of stage 1 done. So roll that like that over. I've got excess flour on my hands, again using what's on the bench as well on your hands, and over like that. Okay, next step, we take out the lasagna roller. So all you do is just basically twist and out. They make it so easy for you. It's so good. And now you can see that is the tagliatelle cutter. Same as you did with the lasagna cutter. Slot it in and twist. Okay? Now with a knife, bring the pasta just a bit closer to you. Now with a knife, see where you've got this thin end? We get rid of that because we want a nice straight end, okay? And the reason we want that, because if that goes through, we're not going to get good tagliatelle. We want to start with a nice square piece. You then can have it as long as you want it. So if you want to be that person that really twirls it up with your fork, then cut it as long as you want. For me, for good eating, I think you want it at about 20 centimeters, okay? But again, personal preference, exactly how you want it. So I'm just cutting it. And again, it doesn't matter if they're a bit different. You, right now, are making homemade pasta. How awesome is that? And I'm going to go down to 2. I'm going to go a bit slower on the rollers for cutting the tagliatelle. Turn it on. You can see the rollers are moving. Pick up your pasta. In the position I'm in, I'm going to use my right hand and fold the pasta over. I'm going to just put it onto the top and just let it slide into place. And with my hand, gather it. Tagliatelle. Slide it in. Now the trick here is, while you've done that, before you go on to the next one, spread it out. And I shall explain why once we've rolled all the tagliatelle. Okay? Now just with a little bit of flour as well. Okay? We take our next sheet. Just with my right hand, slide it onto the rollers, feed it in. My left hand underneath to gather it. Onto the next. Sliding them evenly. Same again. Slide it through. I think we should just take a moment to just appreciate what a brilliant piece of kit this Kenwood is. Because it's not just all about making cakes and batters and using the bowl, just how versatile this machine is. And I think you'll agree, it's pretty cool making your own pasta. And the Kenwood just makes such easy work of it. It really does. Now, if you haven't got one of these, for all my time in running the restaurants and making tagliatelle, we would just put it over a broom handle and rest it between 2 corners of a bench. Now, what's the point to it? The point to it is this is how you get texture into your pasta. So if you're buying your pasta from the supermarket and it's fully dried, chances are that it won't be an egg yolk pasta. It will just be made with something like durum wheat flour and water and salt, and then it's left to dry. And that is why it takes anything from 8, 9, maybe 10 minutes to cook. Now, if you're using a fresh egg yolk pasta like what we are here, this will cook in 30 seconds, 40 seconds. But if we was to put this straight into the pan now, the texture of it would be quite soft. It wouldn't have that lovely sort of texture that you get from, say, dried pasta. So the idea is now the air is just literally all over that pasta. It's drying it out. We're going to leave it there for about 20 minutes, half an hour. And then when we come back, it will be quite stiff, but when it enters the water, it's gonna cook. It's gonna take about a minute, minute and a half, but it will be really, really full of texture. Right, so let's make our carbonara. So the Kenwood has done all the hard work. This bit's the fun bit, the easy bit. Our pasta there is drying, ready to be cooked. But before we get onto that, I'm just gonna talk you through my ingredients. First of all here, what makes this carbonara a little bit different is these little pork sausage balls. Now, if you wanted to, you could use these by making them out of pork shoulder. These are simply sausages where the skins have been snipped off, and you just literally pull the meat out the skin, roll it into a ball. So you've got this wonderful little pork meatballs. Now, rather than just pan frying them, what we've done is we've poached them in a little bit of chicken stock. So two things are happening. It's keeping the sausage really, really moist. So when we roast it with the bacon, we're just getting colour on the sausage. We know that the cooking's been done and they're super, super moist from the chicken stock. And also, it's flavouring our stock, which we're going to use to make our sauce. So you've kind of got a couple of things happening for you with very, very little work. And in there, I've just added some thyme, which will just, again, give a wonderful perfume, a wonderful flavour to the stock and to the pork meatballs. Next, I've got some pancetta, some garlic puree. Okay, you can make this yourself by just basically baking some whole cloves of garlic in the oven in tin foil, a little bit of olive oil, taking them out, squeezing them out of the shells, and in a pestle and mortar, you can then basically make your garlic puree, or you can buy it, not a problem. We've got some full fat crème fraiche. It's important that that is full fat and not low fat. Some butter, some parsley, a lemon, some black pepper, olive oil, and some sea salt. Now I've got sea salt for finishing the dish, and I've got some fine salt to season our water with. Incredibly important. When cooking, building layers and layers and layers of flavour. So in our water, we want to add a good dose of salt. And this is basically to blanch our pasta in. So we're kind of keeping that flavour right the way through. Okay, there's nothing worse than putting pasta just into ordinary straight boiling water with no salt in there. So make sure that you've got that water well seasoned to the point that you just dip your spoon in there, okay? Carefully, take it back, like there's hardly any on the spoon, just give it a little blow and taste. And you should be able to get this nice salty flavoured water, which again will give great flavour to your pasta. We've got our large frying pan on here. I'm going to just turn it up a bit. I'm going to add a little bit of oil, not much, because I'm using a smoked streaky pancetta. So what that means is it's been cured, then smoked, okay? And because we're using the streaky, you've got that lovely layers of fat going through the bacon. So put that into the pan, and instantly we've got that lovely, nice sizzling sound. Now, do not shake the pan. Do not kind of do that thing that kind of draws people into instantly picking it up and shaking it around. Don't do it. Leave the pan in place. Reason why? Keep the heat in the pan. If you do not keep the heat in the pan, you'll basically drop the heat down, you won't caramelise the bacon, and the bacon will boil. The juices will come out of the bacon, the natural moisture, the water that's in the bacon, and you'll end up boiling it. Move the bacon, don't move the pan. So spread the bacon all around the pan, so you're getting a lovely caramelisation on each piece. When bacon's cut up like this, it's known as a lardon. Just going to turn my heat up to 8, and I'm going to add just a touch more oil, just a touch, not much. Now the sausages here, which we've rolled up, our little pork meatballs, just turn those over like this, and you'll just see they're just slightly firm. They're just cooked, absolutely delicious. And they flavoured that gorgeous liquid, which is your chicken stock. If you haven't got chicken stock, honestly, it would be no problem to use just a little bit of water, flavour it with a stock cube, whatever you've got. Right, next, just going to twist the pan round, but again, not moving it, not taking it off the heat. I'm just going to shift the bacon. Lovely, lovely smell. You should relax into this and be organised. Your pan, your beautiful sausage balls are just lovely poached. You know, you've got nothing more to do to them. You've got your water on, that's it, a nice simmer, ready to cook your pasta. Take your time, move your heat up and down. A really important thing with this bacon, this is where you're gonna get the flavour into the dish. So don't rush this process, okay? Really, really get gorgeous, lovely roasted colour onto that bacon, because what you're doing is you're caramelising the protein, and when you caramelise the protein, that equals flavour. I'm now going to take the sausage balls and I'm going to add them into the pan. Okay, I'm going to get just most of the moisture off because they're cooked, but we're just going to add a lovely little bit of colour to them. So you can see we have got unbelievable flavours happening right now in this pan. But remember, we do not get rid of that stock. We're going to use everything because that stock is full of flavour. Oh my goodness, that is delicious. Just going to move our pan over there. I'm going to put my stock over there and turn up my heat just to get my pan back to a rolling ball. Okay, now I'm going to add some butter. We've added our butter into the pan and you can just see now you can move that pan and roll it around. We're going to add a little bit of that thyme. I'm going to keep that flavour going, that lovely thyme. Now just look inside that pan how gorgeous that is. Do not burn the butter. Keep that lovely foam. If you feel it's going a bit too far, turn your heat down, pull it off, add a touch more butter. Do anything to cool it down because this is starting the base of your sauce. So next I'm going to add some garlic puree, okay? About a tablespoon. I'm just going to emulsify that into the butter and let that coat the bacon and the sausage. Honestly, the smell is incredible. Look at that. Oh my goodness. Garlic, sausage, bacon, roasted butter, thyme, like literally heaven in the pan. Okay, next I'm going to add some of that stock and this is going to make our sauce. I'm going to turn my heat back up. I'm going to let that basically come to a boil. What's going to happen is the stock is going to emulsify with the butter. Remember, this is all your flavour from cooking your pork meatballs. See how that's starting to form a sauce? Now we're just going to turn that up to our highest setting and just reduce that beautifully. At this stage, have a taste. If you feel it needs any more salt, add it now. It doesn't and it shouldn't because you've got that lovely saltiness from the bacon, your beautiful chicken stock. Okay, now I'm going to turn that down. When we first added the stock, it was quite wet. Because it's reduced nice and quickly because we're using a large surface area, you can hear the sound change. The bubbles start to pop slower and because it's thickening and you get this kind of clicking sound that changes from when the liquid is quite loose to now it's quite thick. Okay, now I'm going to add, I can always add a little bit more, a good spoonful of our crème fraiche. I'm just going to, in the middle of the pan, I'm going to keep it on the heat, just stir it in, and this is making our sauce. Turn it back onto the heat, turn our heat up. We're just going to keep that heat going, and you can see now we've got this lovely, lovely light kind of sort of brown sauce which is just so full of flavour. Traditionally you wouldn't put crème fraiche in there, and what happens is it's adding flavour and it's stabilising, and now you've got your pasta sauce. It's done. Absolutely delicious. You can just move that off to the side. Okay, just let that gently tick over. I'll leave that on actually and I'll just turn my heat down. Okay, I've tasted my pasta water. I'm just going to remove. Okay, I'm just going to give my water just to move it around so that when the pasta hits the water, it doesn't just all stay in the same place. Slide it off like that. Turn that up till we get a full boil. And I'm just going to stir it, making sure. Now personally, when you see chefs telling you to add olive oil to the water, there is absolutely no need. This here is expensive as it is. do not use it. Use it for finishing dishes. There is no need to add the olive oil to the water. It does absolutely nothing. You're better off if you were gonna, I'm gonna add my pasta straight into the pan. But if you were gonna strain off your pasta, let all the water strain off and then season it with some good olive oil. But do not waste olive oil into the pan. Now at this stage, just move your pasta around, pick it up, have a little taste. Now you can see why we rolled it to that thickness. We just have a little taste of our pasta. Absolutely brilliant. Literally, that has been in there now for about a minute. Another 30 seconds. Absolutely perfect. In fact, I'm going to turn that off. Pull that over here. And I'm just going to strain that off. So we've got our pasta straining. Lift out our thyme. And while we're waiting for the heat just to come back into our pan there, we're going to take some lovely flat parsley. Just going to run our knife through. Thing I always say about herbs as well, you're chopping through there now, that lovely fresh flavour of the parsley, that is what you're looking for. Do not hammer chop the knife into the herbs, just let them release their natural oils. Add in your pasta. Now, with our tongs, we just fold that through and let all of that lovely crème fraiche and butter glaze your pasta. Look at that. Absolutely delicious. So you're just tossing it through to let the bacon, all the flavour of the sausage get right through that carbonara. Now, leave it there on the heat. We're going to add our parsley. 1 egg yolk, okay, just to give it that final bit of richness. I'm also going to add in some lemon zest. So this just keeps it lovely and fragrant. Again, like what I was explaining with the parsley and the natural oils, when you hit the zest onto the microplane, you're breaking the oil, so you get that lovely fresh smell of lemon. We're also then going to cut that lemon, okay, and just add some juice. Now you see I added the parsley, the egg yolk, the lemon zest and the lemon juice. I haven't mixed it for a reason because I don't want to over mix it. Now take it off the heat and just fold in that yolk. And what will happen, it will just add another layer of richness to this beautiful dish. So that egg yolk is gone right through, folded through the pasta. You can see the colour of it looks absolutely incredible. So we just fold our pasta through like that. Now before we serve, final taste. It's unbelievable. You've just kind of got like the garlic, the crème fraiche, wonderful of acidity from the lemon, that lovely meatiness, those fresh herbs last minute. Now for me, if this was in our house, the pan, we wouldn't even take it out of the pan. That would just go straight down into the middle of the table for everybody to help themselves. And you just want to take a bit of that pasta, a few of those meatballs, like that. Get some of that lovely bacon, that lovely sauce on top. Simply finish with some olive oil over the top. And if you wanted to, for a little bit of extra richness, just finish with some lovely, fresh, grated parmesan. And there you have it. That is my take on a Cornish carbonara that, to be fair, this bit here, this is the fun bit, this is the easy bit. This piece of amazing kit, the Kenwood Chef Titanium Patissier XL, it did all the hard work. it made that pasta, and it made making pasta a real joy. I hope you enjoy the recipe, and I'll see you very soon.